I got you stuck. I got you stuck. I got you stuck. Off the realness. I got you stuck. Got you stuck off the real. The realness.
Welcome to the Audacity podcast. I am the man on the street. But today, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to take a look at this interview that Jim Acosta did last night with two individuals. One guy was basically supporting what Donald Trump said with the disinformation that he said about the incident that happened in New Orleans. I'm talking about the terrorist attack, ladies and gentlemen. And the other young man is basically saying, hey, this is not called for. But let's get into the video and listen to how Jim Acosta basically broke this down. And I mean, he broke this down masterfully.
Donald Trump is posting misinformation about the deadly attack in New Orleans. We can show some of this on screen. He posted on Truth Social earlier this morning that it was somehow related to immigration, blaming open borders. But CNN is reporting the suspect in New Orleans is a Texas-born U.S. citizen. We were just mentioning earlier in this program that the person who rented the Cybertruck in Las Vegas was a member of the U.S. Special Forces. Neil, I mean, we're right back where we were in 2017. We're down.
Yeah. And the reason why he said we're back to 2017, as y'all can remember, when Donald Trump first started to run for president, coming down that golden escalator, he's basically saying that Mexico is sending their worst. So he already demonized immigrants from that point. So now this incident happened down in New Orleans. And the first thing he's going to do is what? Blame immigrants. But as you heard Jim Acosta read, both incidents were American citizens. Both of these terrorists, homegrown terrorists, was raised here right in good old America. But yet, Donald Trump, instead of him waiting to get the correct information, he's going to come out and say, it was immigrants. Oh, it's the border. Basically, it's the border. We need to close the border. Well, these guys are born in America. So what are you talking about? Now, one thing I would say is that if you take a look at this terrorist in New Orleans, if you just look at him, you would say that, hey, yes, he's an immigrant from another country because of his dark-looking skin and his name. But you have not heard too much about the young man in what? Las Vegas. Because he's white as snow. He's white as snow. So if Donald Trump had waited, which the normal person would do, wait and get all the information before you put out any statement, he wouldn't have egg on his face. Now he has egg on his face, and he got people out here like this sycophants that's going to try to defend what he said. Listen to how he characterized what Donald Trump is talking about. Listen to it.
Donald Trump, he takes misinformation, he takes false news from wherever, and he puts it out there, and it just confuses the hell out of everybody.
And you're right, Jim Acosta. That's what he does. He takes misinformation, he just puts it out there, and everybody gets confused. Not everybody. I'm not going to say everybody. Everybody that follows him. Because you still got people out here like this sycophants right here that's trying to defend what he actually said.
What's the solution here? I mean, why can't he just stick to the facts?
Look, in this particular instance,
or wait for the facts to come in.
In this instance,
he can't stick to the facts because he's a habitual liar. He can't help it. He can't help it. Anything that's going to benefit him, he's going to talk about, especially if it's something dealing with somebody that doesn't look like him. And that terrorist down in New Orleans doesn't look like him. So the first thing he's going to do is label him as an immigrant. But as we all know now, this guy was born in America. He served his country. This guy is a homegrown terrorist.
If the reporting is correct and what we're hearing from law enforcement, the suspect in New Orleans was in fact an American citizen who served in the army and was radicalized by ISIS. That said, we can't ignore the fact that from 20...
Now, I'm going to stop it right there. What are you going to say? He's radicalized by ISIS. See, we quick to say something like that. See, now they're trying to justify it. Now you're trying to flip it. You're trying to flip it and say this is a radicalized. No, it doesn't take ISIS for this guy to become radicalized. Oh, certain individuals become radicalized. Timothy McVeigh, he wasn't radicalized by ISIS. These are homegrown terrorists, but we cannot say that these homegrown terrorists are being infatuated with these other countries because of their ideology. No, these are homegrown terrorists. We made these clowns. America did. But yet, we're quick to demonize other immigrants trying to come to America and hopefully trying to make a better way for themselves. And Donald Trump is known for that. That's how he got his goddamn presidential race started off on when he talked about the immigrants coming from Mexico.
2021 to 2024, there were 400 people on the terrorist watch list that were stopped at the border. And those are just the people that we stopped. So it's.
And I had to stop it there. He's talking about terrorists coming to the country, and we stopped them. But these guys are born in America. So what does that have to do with the border? That doesn't make sense to the man on the street.
Is a real issue, and I think that's what President Trump does.
Yeah, but Neil,
he brings focus to these.
You might have people coming across the border, and yes,
on the
that
terrorist
is
watch list.
Okay, that's obviously a problem. But if that is not the case in New Orleans, and that is not the case in Las Vegas, you can't bring it up.
And see how Jim Acosta did that? He brought it back home, just like I said. The two doesn't go together. You got terrorists that's coming across. Yes, we stopped them at the border. But these two evil individuals were homegrown. So why would you come out and try to put this on immigrants?
Can't bring it up.
I think
it's not connected.
What the president's objective is to bring attention to what he identifies as the problem. He believes that concerns about border and border security were vital to his winning election and wants to highlight those issues. And I think that is what he has chosen to do in this particular instance. I think, as we have seen for really the past decade, you don't necessarily take all his tweets literally. It's about the issue that he's trying to raise.
This is the same old scapegoating that.
Before this young man speak, you notice what he said? We don't take what he says literally. He's about to be the most powerful man in the world. And we're not supposed to take him literally? Come on, man. That doesn't make sense. This guy knows that doesn't make sense. I understand that you could be a member of a party and you want to back your party to the fullest. I don't have an issue with that. But when you know that your party is telling blatant lies, you got to call it out. You got to call it out. I don't understand. But you got people out here that will follow Donald Trump down a goddamn cliff. If Donald Trump was telling people that it's raining outside and it's actually pissing outside, they would actually go get a cup and say, yes, this is lemonade. Thank you, Mr. President Donald Trump. That's how they followed him. They followed him with blinders on. And it doesn't make sense to the man on the street.
We've seen, this is nothing new, and this is disgusting of what we're seeing. Like, what happened in New Orleans is disgusting. We should talk about all the facts to make sure this could never happen again, but not put it on the backs of my grandparents or my parents who were immigrants, all immigrants being something that's bad. Immigrants are good. Immigrants are good for our economy. Having bad people stopped, I agree, is good as well. But we can't let misinformation. This is how you get more attacks like this, like somebody from Dallas, Texas, driving to a Walmart in El Paso and start shooting Mexicans because they think that Mexicans are invading the country.
This guy is making a great point. Why would you not wait until all the information is out? That would have been the easiest thing. But he thought that he had a thing to, before he's inaugurated, to stand on. The guy down there in New Orleans, this terrorist, this evil man, he looks like what I've been telling my MAGA folks what to look for. These are the people you should fear because they don't look like you. That's what he's doing. That's what he has always done. If you're not fair-skinned, if you're not white, these are the people that you need to fear. These are the ones coming across the border. These are the ones coming to take your job, unless they're H-1B1 visas, and we'll talk about that another day. You know what I'm saying? Because he flip-flopped on that as well. But we're going to keep, like this guy say, keep it on subject. So the man on the street's going to keep it on subject. It's about these knuckleheads. It's about these terrorists that went out here and did this evil act, especially that evil man down in New Orleans. 14 innocent people killed. There's no words. There's nothing that is more disgraceful than that. But instead of the president of the United States, the next president of the United States coming out and having condolences, he wants to say, hey, it's the immigrants. See, I told you. I was right. I told you. And that's what he's known for. But if he had waited, he would have seen that this person was a homegrown terrorist.
Something like this starts.
Yeah, I mean, Neil, this is a problem, and you were saying a few moments ago you can't take him literally. Why shouldn't you take the president of the United States literally?
It's how Jim Acosta always bring it back, and I brought it up earlier when I heard that he said that, and I agree with you, Jim Acosta. Shouldn't we take the president of the United States literally? Now, watch how this guy tried to spin it. Listen to him now. Listen.
Isn't that sort of a baseline expectation that he should stick to the facts?
I think, look, in this particular instance, and I didn't see the exact language he used in the True Social post, I don't think he was saying that this individual crossed illegally, or if he was, it was based on initial reporting that was incorrect, that somebody had
we
crossed
can show it up
Eagle
on screen
Pass.
again. I mean, he's talking about
But he has a valid
he's blaming Biden's open borders policy.
And again,
he's talking about that on True Social. I mean,
but does he tie it directly
when I said that
to
the
this
criminals
particular
coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true. Not in this case.
What he is saying in that
Truth Social post is false. That is false.
He's not.
And you saw how Jim Acosta did that. He basically broke it down. He's saying it in the statement. He said it in the statement. He's basically saying that I told you the people that's coming across here are killing Americans. I told you that the border is not secure. I told you that President Biden is an imbecile and he's letting all these people come into the United States to kill you. That's what he just said. But yet you got this guy trying to justify, no, I don't think he exactly said. He's exactly said that. I was watching something earlier today on TikTok, and the MAGA folks with the MAGA hat on, and the first thing that came out of their mouth was, well, I heard these two guys were Democrats. How do you know that? We don't know that. I could get on here and say, I heard that those two guys were Republicans. Now, how does that sound? What we should be saying, these are two evil people, too evil, especially the one that killed 14 innocent people. They're deranged. But I'm not going to put that on the back of an immigrant. We have more Americans killing Americans than immigrants killing Americans. But yet, what Donald Trump does is he pokes that fear. He pokes that fear in his fan base. He pokes that fear so they can fear people that don't like them. And they eat it up every time. And then they got a reason to go out here and do some of the things that they do. Jim Acosta nailed it right on the head. But listen to this guy. Hey, he's still trying to defend his main man, Donald Trump.
Not saying that this individual crossed the border illegally, right, but there were 400 people on the terrorist watch list.
Of course, but when there's an act of terrorism in this country, the incoming president should tell the truth to the American people. I mean, that is just... Isn't that what the president should do at all times?
He's talking about securing the border, and he's been talking for years about securing the border, and he believes, and I think the data bears out that he won the election partially because
I mean, I just
of
have to say, here he goes
border.
Again. He talks about everybody else being fake news, and he's the one peddling fake news. But
he always talked about people doing fake news. He always talked about that. It's fake news. It's fake news. But yet, he's the main one peddling in fake news. Make that make sense. It doesn't. Because he is the head of fake news. I'm going to say this to the day I leave this earth. Donald Trump is the biggest con artist that ever walked the face of the earth. He's conning people. He's conning people to believe in his lies. And then when he get caught in his lies, his sycophants will go out here and try to justify what he's trying to say. That young man right there is trying to justify what Donald Trump is saying. And he knows it's a bold-faced lie. And as you just heard, Jim Acosta handled that interview, very well. But yet you got people like this young man, a sycophant of Donald Trump, trying to make excuses for him and trying to justify what he's saying. Well, we all know that Donald Trump told a bold-faced lie. Instead of just waiting to get the proper information, he'd rather go with what's going to help his base or help him with his base. I told you, be fearful of people coming across the border. I told you, these people are coming to kill you. I told you, they're coming to take your jobs. But yet, in this case, that's not it. These two terrorists, it's a homegrown terrorist. But what got Donald Trump in trouble was he saw a picture of him and like, oh yeah, I got me one. Oh, I got me one. There you heard his name. Oh, I got me one. And he went with what was not truthful. And that's what he does. He pokes fear. And you got some of his MAGA folks that will follow him off a cliff. And it doesn't make sense to the man on the street. It doesn't at all. But let me know down in the comments what you think about this situation. The man on the street wants to know.